Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have a brand new episode in our card spotlight series in which I look at a card that I feel is underplayed or underappreciated in Commander and discuss its merits. But before we do that, just a quick reminder to please click subscribe if you enjoy these videos. It's the only way the YouTube algorithm really notices me, and we're currently growing the channel and it helps me a lot. Much appreciated. And today we're talking about Armored Scrapgorger, one of the new cards from Phyrexia, all will be one. It's an uncommon for 1 colorless and 1 green to 0/3 creature Phyrexian beast with Armored Scrapgorger gets +3/+0 as long as it has 3 or more oil counters on it. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, and whenever Armored Scrapgorger becomes tapped, exile target card from a graveyard and put an oil counter on Armored Scrapgorger. So somehow I missed this card with all of the crazy spoilers this time and how hectic the spoiler season was, but this is an incredibly strong uncommon that is probably going to go into a lot of Commander decks. Now on the face of it, this doesn't seem that great. There's a lot of 2 mana ramp in green, and a lot of it is likely better than this because it fetches lands and puts them straight into play, such as Rampant Growth, Farseek, Nature's Law, etc. However, it's not unheard of that 2 mana ramp creatures see play in Commander, and this card does have a few cool things going for it. Let's compare it to Sylvan Caryatid, which has the same stat line but has hexproof and can tap to add 1 mana of any color. So this does that, but without the hexproof, which is obviously a downside because it can be removed. But realistically, how often is this going to be the target of a removal spell? Basically, almost anything that would kill your Sylvan Caryatid is going to kill this too, if it's a board wipe or anything else, seeing as nobody's wasting a removal spell on this card. But this card has some surprising upside, which is that 3rd line of text. Every time this card becomes tapped, you're going to be exiling a card from a graveyard. Do note that it isn't a May ability, so if your graveyard is the only one with cards in it, you will be forced to exile from your own graveyard, which might sometimes be something you want to do, but it's pretty unlikely. Graveyard Hate is an extremely important ability in Commander, and the more I play, the more often it comes up. People's decks these days run more and more ways to get value from the graveyard, whether it be through reanimation or recursion or just any other way of accruing incremental advantage. So having a way to interact with that is very good. However, the problem usually is that we don't have that many flex slots in most decks, and it feels pretty bad having to dedicate a card solely to deal with the graveyard, which is why stuff like Bojuka Bog is such a popular card in the format, because it allows you to deal with the problem of the graveyard without having to dedicate a non-land slot to it. And this leads us to Armored Scrapgorger and why I think it shines. The fact that it's ramp and Graveyard Hate packaged into the same card is undeniably strong, and it's ramp that comes down on turn 2, which is what you would normally expect from a mana rock, so you're not really giving up that much to play this anyway. Additionally, later on in the game, this becomes a 3/3, which, while not being the scariest creature, is still decent enough to swing in on certain board states, and since the triggered ability for exiling graveyard stuff happens when it becomes tapped, it's still going to act as Graveyard Hate even if it's attacking. Defensively, it's not irrelevant either. Having a 0/3 blocks a lot of early game stuff, so that's actually not bad, and is similar to how Sylvan Caryatid can act as a bit of a brick wall for your opponent's creatures. So when you take all of these things combined, the decent body, the Graveyard Hate, and the fact that it can swing in late, this is actually a surprisingly solid card, and I think it's going to go into a lot of decks just by virtue of its flexibility and being able to solve various problems on a single card. It's not the most efficient graveyard exile effect, it's not the most efficient ramper, and it's not the most efficient creature, but when you combine solid enough versions of all of those 3 effects into one card, the result is actually greater than the sum of its parts. So there you have it, that has been our card spotlight for today. What are your thoughts on this card? Let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!